Welcome to the InnovaBuzz podcast, where our job is to help you build visibility, professional credibility, and connection with your ideal client by putting the human at the center of innovative marketing, so you can build and strengthen an engaging, enduring relationship with your ideal clients. I'm Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz, and I'm honored that you're here with me. If you haven't joined our wonderful marketing transformation community yet, go to innovabiz.co and collect your free gift as well. Do subscribe to the show and also leave a review because it helps others find us. Let's get into today's masterclass on this InnovaBuzz podcast.
Put those systems and processes in place. So once you start having or finding traction in your business and you're ready to start scaling things up, you can scale at a rapid pace and not have your business break down. Otherwise, if you don't have like those processes and systems in place, I look at that as like the foundation, your building blocks of your business. If you don't have that foundation of being somewhat solid, things will start to crumble once your business starts to take off.
Welcome back. I hope you've had an awesome week so far. If you haven't yet listened to my recent conversations with leadership consultant and author of Visual Leadership, Todd Churches, and with co-author of Dealing with People You Can't Stand, Rick Kirschner, then do check them out. Do go listen, but only after you've listened to today's conversation. I'm really excited today to have on the InnovaBuzz podcast as my guest, Jason Case of Points Peak Marketing and the Pulse Spot. Jason has a passion for helping businesses streamline their operations by implementing technology that is easy to use. He helps people implement the right processes and systems to support business growth and the power to scale efficiently. In our discussion today, Jason talked to me about why you should spend more time building out your backend systems and processes to support the leads that come in from the front end. We talked about why it's so important to know your numbers and have a process in place that makes it easy to view them. And Jason recommended that the focus should be on progress and not perfection, particularly with creating new products to fill market needs. Without further ado then, let's fly into the hive and get the buzz from Jason Case. Hi, I'm your host Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz, and I'm really excited to welcome to the InnovaBuzz podcast today from Delaware, Ohio in the USA, Jason Case of Points Peak Marketing and Pulse Technology. Jason is a business automation specialist that helps businesses streamline their operations by implementing technology that's easy to use. Welcome to the InnovaBuzz podcast, Jason. It's a real privilege to have you as my guest.
Thanks for having me on.
Ken Wentworth, who is our guest on episode 304 of the InnovaBuzz podcast, suggested that we have a conversation with you. So big hello to Ken.
Yeah, big shout out. Thanks for the invite.
Now, Jason, digital marketing and marketing automation, how did you get involved in that?
Oh man, crazy. I didn't go to school for it or anything. I just kind of stumbled into it and found my passion. So as a previous business I had was a printing business, and that was started back in 2008 when the economy in the U.S. kind of was tanking at the time. And I had to find innovative ways to grow my business. And I started looking online at strategies that way. And that's what kind of got me into the digital marketing world by growing that business. And we had a lot of success with that, those strategies. And I just kind of fell in love with doing digital marketing. And We grew that business to an international level. I sold it back in the end of 2014, and started a marketing agency because that was my passion, and kind of pursued it that way, and that led into a lot of different other things as well. Business automation also came from growing that business, of just kind of the hurdles of growing so fast. And, we'll probably elaborate on a lot of the other stuff
Mm,
that comes into that later down the road too. So
yeah. So Points Peak Marketing is your digital agency. Is that correct?
that's correct. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
digital marketing agency. So we're kind of shifting focus on that side now, more into the automation side of things, to
Hmm.
help consult people, uh, just building out marketing, sales funnels, things of that nature. We still have a handful of clients that we work with on an SEO basis, and some of the other managing Facebook ad accounts. We definitely still do coaching and consulting on that side of things, but we're shifting a lot of our focus into the actual like automation and the back end build out of stuff that really helps support like inbound leads or leads that are coming in from your sales team.
So that's more software and tools.
That's correct. And that would
Mm.
be my other other business, Pulse
So that's
Technologies.
yeah, yeah. All right. So who's the ideal client then for the Pulse Technology?
We deal with a lot of consulting companies. So um smaller businesses that are looking to scale up. So that's um usually they have a handful of employees, got some traction, some revenue already, and are looking just from a perspective of how to automate a lot more of their business functions, and how to streamline their processes, and really support the current customers they have, get more business out of them, and also convert more of the leads that are coming in to their business to customers.
Hmm. All right. Well, so let's ask a fundamental question then. What's the purpose of the automation software that you put together, and what are some of the things it helps people do?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of marketing automation software out there. Obviously, we've used quite a few of them. Growing our business and growing other businesses that we consult with on the marketing agency side. Pulse actually started just as like a side project, kind of to fill the gaps of some of the softwares that were out there that we couldn't find the features that we wanted. So we just kind of started building this for our own internal purposes. And one of our fastest growing market or companies that we were working with on the marketing agency needed another software, and I introduced it to them, and that's what we actually used as our beta client, kind of that actually turned into one of the fastest growing franchise systems or franchise model businesses in the world. We took them from like 0 to 200 units in 10 months. So that's what really got the software started. And the whole purpose from that was just to help support their growth and put automation in place. So you got repeatable processes that happen, and it really builds the back end functions out. So everything is really streamlined, so you can handle that scalability. And that's the whole purpose of a software like ours, is to put those systems and processes in place. So once you start having or finding traction in your business, and you're ready to start scaling things up, you can scale at a rapid pace and not have your business break down. Otherwise, if you don't have like those processes and systems in place, I look at that as like the foundation, your building blocks of your business. If you don't have that foundation of being somewhat solid, things will start to crumble once your business starts to take off. So,
Hmm. So what kind of systems are included then in your software?
Yeah. So, I mean, built, we built out a number of things for clients that we kind of put a templated approach into people because we found that probably a huge portion of people that get into CRM systems or marketing automation systems, they don't use them because even if they're tech savvy, they just don't have the time to build this stuff out themselves. They're too wrapped up in their business. That's the reason they're trying to reach out
Mm.
and find a software like this is because they waited too long
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
and they're trying to
Kind of
help
catch
put out
22, isn't it?
exactly. So they're trying to help put out some fires in their business. But at that time, they don't have the time because they're busy trying to like just keep up with the leads that are coming in, keep up with their current customers, provide good service and stuff like that. So don't have the time to build out the back end processes. So we've built like a number of templated funnels, everything from sales, marketing funnels, and pipelines to help support the leads that come in and work them through a process, everything from like the lead qualification to sending them through qualified stages and automating different processes of that. So we have like a templated approach that we take that we show people. And then if they're okay with it, then we kind of put that into their system preloaded. And then what we do is then work through that and customize it to their business, you know? So not every business is the same, obviously. So we just start customizing chunks of that to really fit for their business and what stages of their pipeline are and how they like walk leads through to customers and everything from going from a lead to a customer and then the customer onboarding experience. We even got like printing companies in there that use it from managing their current customers to sending out, automating the part of sending out shipping notifications. We just built out the hiring funnel for a cleaning company not too long ago. You know, there's a number of those things that we're just constantly building for clients. And then once we build them out, we have these templated approaches that we can load in. So the thing is the system's very dynamic and customizable to where it's not just, they don't need us to build it out. They can obviously customize and do everything that we build in there themselves. But we just find out at least giving them some kind of foundation to work from and putting in some of those templates really helps to spark the creativity and spark the things that can be accomplished with a system like that.
Hmm. What I like about your approach is that, and you mentioned it very early in the explanation, that focused on service to their customers. And one of the things that I find a little frustrating with a lot of the software and automation systems that are out there is that people tend to abdicate to the software and the systems when they should be actually building relationships more with their customers or with the leads coming in. And so I really like that, you sort of started off with to improve the service. And obviously as people scale, it becomes harder to give that personalized service to more people.
I think, I mean, that's always been my motive in any of my businesses, everything, even back into the printing business when I first was getting started as an entrepreneur is value. You need to bring value to the table. And doesn't matter what business you're in, you need to add value. If you can't add value, then you're not going to retain your customers, right? So as being in a software as a service business, as we are with Pulse, you know, retaining those customers are big, you know, and I mean, in any business is big, but those are some of the key metrics you look at is your churn rate and stuff like that. And we found, you know, really finding out what, you know, problems that a business is facing and how we can solve them up front, and then putting the systems and solutions in place to help solve those problems and helping them actually get that up and running instead of saying, here's the software, you figure it out. You know what I mean? And when you work with them and get it going, you know, then you're adding, you know, 10x value to their company. And that's where you really start building that relationship too, right? It's not just about like, here you go. You gotta build the relationship and understand what their business is about. I think that's a big thing in any business, but that's what we've really found that has helped in our business. So
Yeah, and you talked about customizing the systems and the templates that are used within the system to fit the needs of your customer. So, how do you go about helping them document and systemize um, the the things that they do in their business in a way that then allows you to build out those automation systems?
that's in the initial discovery stages of where they're currently at. A lot of, I guess, that's, I wouldn't say a lot actually. Some don't have any systems at all, and they're starting from ground zero. I mean, I've had customers where they,
Or the systems in
I
somebody's
asked where
head, right?
your leads or your contacts are. Well, are they on Excel sheet? And no, they're in their phone,
Mm,
and they got to go through and pull stuff out. But hey, that's fine. We just got to understand where they're at and how we can, and set the milestones of importance. So in those cases, well, the biggest thing is let's get some things organized first, and then that's the first thing, and then we'll step on, the second milestone is then start to set up the automation behind it, and as new leads come in and things like that. And then there's businesses that are much more sophisticated, like one of the fitness businesses that we're bringing on right now. They're moving pretty good. They've been in business for a while, but their pain point was they got multiple different softwares that they're using. None of them talk to each other. So it's kind
mm.
of the Mr. Potato Head
Yeah, yeah.
approach, right? So, and that's causing a lot of friction. When you have multiple different softwares like that, especially in growth stages, if they're not talking to each other, that's a very problematic thing when you're trying to bring on new employees. You got to train them on all these different processes. Nothing's staying the same. So, that can kind of add some friction into the employee training, and also sometimes you lose employees because of that, because they feel stressed out because they can't understand all these processes, and those processes are constantly changing. So um it just really comes down to that initial discovery. Where are you at, and what are your milestones? So and how we can help. So for the one fitness company, some of the stuff we didn't have connections with, and it's just like, okay, well, we don't have that feature. Let's work with you to connect this software so you can still, keep on using that, and we'll integrate it so everything's seamless. You know what I mean? And you don't have to do this this manual process anymore. And then we start setting up some of the automation and the funnels behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, well, the connecting various bits of software, that's always a big frustration. And I find that there's software out there that takes that into account right from the beginning and has ways where you can integrate with the common things that you might want to integrate with. For example, a learning management system that we're looking at lots of learning management systems right now for
Mhm.
some customers, and connecting that to an email marketing or to a
Mhm.
website or to landing pages or those sort of things is almost a mandatory, and yet some of them actually don't have that built in or don't even talk about it in their material. So you've got to figure it out yourself if you were to go with them. Some of them have it built in, but yeah.
I think I mean, that's something you always have to consider. Not one software solution is going to ever solve everything that you need.
Mm,
And I think if it does, then you're probably going to face other problems because they're probably focusing on way too many things for their software, and then
yeah.
it's going to be glitchy, or it's that's
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
one
have to
thing.
focus on the one thing, right?
Yeah, there's niches,
Mm,
right? And there, you gotta understand what it is what your lane is, and kind of stay in that lane and not to venture out of it too far. But yeah, you have to integrate with stuff, and being in the cloud now, that's a good thing. You can almost integrate with anything that's out there. And if the integration's not there, hopefully the company can work with you to get that integrated and make that work. So,
mm. All right. Now, talk to us a little bit about the pilot program approach that you took, and was that by design or was it kind of by accident that that customer said, "Oh, here's our frustrations." You recognise that need, and you said, "Hey, we're building this thing for ourselves. Do you want to take a look at that and try it out?"
oh man, that was the fastest I've ever seen the company grow. It was super exciting to be part of it. I, you know, kind of rewinding back to the start of that was me, the CEO, and his brother, the COO at the time. So it's three of us. We'd go over to his house and we'd work out of his living room. That's where we'd hold our meetings and stuff at, and that was kind of like the war room to get stuff get stuff done at. And obviously, we had our own office too, but I was over there a lot, just, working with him and directly of approaches to take. And, man, once we started getting traction with it, it was just, it was off to the races, and, at that time he didn't have a CTO in the company. So, with my technical background, I started acting not only just as a marketing person for the company, but also acting as like kind of like their fractional CTO.
Mm,
I
mm,
started wearing, even though as a contractor, I started wearing multiple hats in the company. And once he approached the dealership model of scaling, kind of like in a franchise model of bringing in these dealerships to sell their product and so forth, that's when he brought it up, like, look, the current software that we're using isn't going to actually, and this is the integration thing, right? And
mm.
this isn't going to really integrate with each of these new dealerships. And we kind of need something to where not only are we managing the customers of each of those new dealerships that we bring on, and when I talk about dealership, think of kind of like a dealership as a new franchise that you're bringing on. That's just how we worded it, was a dealership. And uh, so what we also have to manage the new leads that are coming in that want to be a possible dealership, and we have
Mm.
to manage those dealerships. So from a corporate level, you got to manage the dealerships, but you have to also manage the support, the marketing systems that go into those people, and give them support, and also manage in how they're managing their leads, right? So that's why they're buying into a platform like that. If a franchise buys a franchise, if a person buys into a franchise, they're looking for that support, right? That's why they went that route. And and he saw that, and he's like, look, we need to be able to quickly onboard people and give them the support we need. So what happened? We just kind of fell into that, and we're like, well, let's find software that does that. So we started looking around, and we couldn't find anything really that was out there. And that's where I stumbled into a blue ocean, where this software that I was working on as kind of like a side project for our own internal stuff was actually getting ready to cross the finish line, or just putting it into a production state, the infancy stages for our own stuff. Turned out to where, like, hey, we can't find anything. Let me show you this that I've been working on for the last couple of years. What do you think? And it was like a 15-minute conversation. And he's like, this is yours? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you own this? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, let's do it. so,
Mm.
that was it. I mean, it was like a quick conversation. I was at my office at the time. We were doing a Zoom meeting, and I came back out, told my staff from the marketing company, I'm like, yeah, we're shifting directions. And well, what do you mean? And I was like, but they knew the success we were having with that company and how fast it was growing. So everybody's on board with it. And that's when we started a software company. So we kind of created a partnership there that we went in with, to where, I handled, the software support for him, and we went all in. It was nice. I was able to self-fund our entire software without bringing in any outside investors, with the approach that we took with that. And I didn't ever imagine that we're going to grow it that fast. I mean, I knew we'd probably, grow at some reasonable rapid pace, but going from like 0 to 200 dealerships in 10 months was just crazy. I mean, we're closing like 10 new dealerships a week at some point. And it just, it was unreal, because I mean, like, in a franchise system, to get to 100 franchise units, really ever, or within the first 10 years, that's really good. But to go to like 0 to 200 in 10 months, it's just like, whenever we told people in the industry like that, they're like, wait, say that again? What did you say? So that's what created this blue ocean, that we're like, wow, we got something here. And we stumbled into this industry that I thought there's, software that would already support some of the stuff. And there wasn't, or some of the stuff out there that was already out there was outdated. And so that's like, when we're developing this stuff as we're going on, and it was definitely had the challenges, right? Growing that fast and having an infancy stage software, and trying to like add all these features and new things as they're growing, to adapt to the problems and changes they're having. Definitely had some challenges with it, but we were able to manage. And that's like, over that time, I thought, well, man, I can take this and I can repackage this and put this out to other franchise systems and other small businesses, right? So, I mean, the same software was working for the dealership model. We can, make it work for individual businesses too. So that's where I branched out at the end of last year and separated out the software, and that's where we're at now with it. And I mean, I didn't even use that. We grew so fast, I didn't even use the software that I was originally developing for our internal processes. I didn't even get to use it until the beginning of this year. So it's like my baby that I was, working on and creating, and, we didn't even get to use it ourselves. We saw them using it and having great results with it, but we couldn't even use it and have our own results with it, because we just didn't have the time to. So that's kind of how we got into it and stumbled into it. And I wouldn't have ever changed anything. That's the life of being an entrepreneur. You just kind of got to be dynamic with stuff, right? And flow, kind of go with the flow. And I always say you got to trust your gut feeling, and that day my gut told me, like, go with it, right? Like, it's a big risk to change a shift of direction there, but my gut told me, like, hey, this is the right decision, just roll with it. So that's how we got into it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say, trust your gut, because I know you're very big on data. So, talk to us a little bit about how knowing your numbers and how you approach that inside the software to track what's going on and to allow you to make decisions based on the data as well as your gut feeling.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a big thing of how we grew that business, of how from like a marketing agency, how we work with our clients, right? You have to know your numbers 100%. And I think that's, I guess, rewind back a little bit to like the discovery sessions that we have with people, is that's some of the things that I bring up, like, are you running advertising campaigns? How are you currently tracking it? And I would say the majority of people aren't tracking anything. And the people who they're tracking it in Excel sheets, or some people think they're tracking it, but they're not really. And I think that's you need to have those fundamental numbers, and you have to have it automated to where it's real time, right? So that's very important, because as you start to grow, if you're tracking it in an Excel sheet, I can tell you, if you're doing that on a weekly basis, which you should be updating and looking at those numbers, if not a daily basis, as you start to grow and scale, you'll lose time. There's no way you're going to keep up on that, because there's going to be other fires, other stuff. You're always focused on growing your business and getting sales. And once you start getting the sales, then that's your main important thing. Then is shifting to keeping your customers happy and trying to convert more leads into more sales. So a lot of times at that point, you don't have the time to look at the numbers, and that's because it's not automated. So you need to set up those like automated funnels. So as like leads come in, real time what your cost per lead is. And as they move through your funnel and convert to a customer, what your cost per customer is. Those key metrics are very good to look at. And also where if you're using multiple marketing channels, which you're going to be once you start to grow as a business, like for the company that we're working with on the software, we had 5 marketing agencies underneath us at that time that we're looking at, and we had to have like key visibility on each of those, and where are which ones were performing best, and the like our software, actually Pulse was able to save about $20,000 a month on advertising costs from that, because the one company that they thought was doing the best actually was not doing the best. The one thing that they overlooked was the ad management fee. They're looking at metrics inside of Facebook and stuff like that, but they weren't, they're so busy, some of those easy things that we think that we always think about was overlooked, and is that monthly ad management fee. And once you factored that in, the numbers were way, way different. So, but once we were able to get that set up inside of Pulse and have those real-time metrics, that is incredible game changer for them, because they didn't have to manage the Excel sheets on a weekly basis. And that fitness company that I was just talking about, I was working with them last week. Same thing, they got multiple data points in different channels. So every week you're manually entering in this data from all your different marketing channels, your ad spend, your ad costs. That's super, super time consuming. And if you don't have that automated of some sort, it's not going to be something, one, that you look forward to each week of doing. And two, when you get busy, you're just going to overlook it. But when you have those numbers in real time, you're able to make more educated decisions on your business and more actionable decisions, so what's actually working.
Delay, right?
What's that now?
Also without delay. So you're getting getting traction very quickly. If you see, that this thing's costing me more than the other thing I'm doing, and not returning on that investment, then you can quickly make changes as appropriate and affect that. And
put money down more on the channels that are working, right? So if you find something that's not working, you can double your money and put more money, take the money from that one channel that's not working and double it down on the channel that is working. So yeah, I think knowing your numbers from many different levels is super important, but not just knowing your numbers, having that automated or mostly automated so you can see that in real-time visibility.
And again, that, you talked about administrative tasks having having or saving on those administrative tasks. So there's other savings there, or you've got somebody that suddenly doesn't have to do this entering numbers into a spreadsheet, so they can spend their time doing something that's much more productive.
100%. I mean, you're not having a lower level person in your company entering those numbers or doing that stuff. One, you're not going to give them visibility and access to that data a lot of times. So it's going to be a higher level person in your company doing it. That higher level person can be doing much more valuable stuff with their time than entering data into an Excel sheet. That's for sure. So yeah, you hit it spot on there.
All right. So how can people get their business to a point where they can take advantage of a system like this?
I mean, our costs are really reasonable. I mean, for what you would spend on a cup of coffee a day, you can get started with our software, and it's $49 a month. So I'm not talking about Starbucks coffee. I'm talking about your gas station
Good
coffee.
coffee.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I mean, $1.50 a day or so. You can, and I'm not sure what it costs in Australia, but
find it tough to get a coffee at that price.
yeah, right. So, um, it's you can just be a one person business, as long as you got a little bit of money coming in, it's well worth the investment. And our software, at this point, it's not modularized out as far as, price point. So a lot of softwares like this, or most of them, if you subscribe, they'll give you a low entry price like that to get started, but you don't have the email marketing features, or you don't have the text message marketing, or all the marketing automation capabilities. They hit you with a low entry fee, and then they upsell you on those extra features. And with our system, you get the entire thing for that low monthly cost. So.
All right. Well, this is fascinating, Jason. I'm sort of impressed at the whole approach, the systemization, the customer-focused approach also, and looking at building out a system from a pilot program, and the self-funding. That's really impressive too. I mean, obviously you're experiencing the same growth along with that one client, but clearly addressing a need that was there, rather than simply taking something that you were passionate about and building it out, regardless of whether there was a need from somebody else or not.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I guess, one of the things is just trying to, I think, we always have ideas as entrepreneurs, and it's always, sometimes hard trying to stay focused on, what ones are important, and, not losing focus on, some of the key things to move forward with. So, that's one thing that, my wife probably thought I was crazy putting money into a software as 2 years before that even happened. But in my mind, I thought it was important, and it got us to where we're at today. So I guess it's a good decision.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Buzz, which is our innovation round, and it's designed to help our audience, who are primarily innovators and leaders in their field, with some tips from your experience. So I've got 5 questions here, and hopefully you'll give us some really insightful answers and inspire our listener to go and do something awesome today as a result.
Cool. Fire away.
What's the number one thing you think anyone needs to do to be more innovative?
Read. I think reading, listening to podcasts like yours, that's a huge thing. Reading blogs, books. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a book, just, it can be reading a blog, lots of good information out there. But the more content and information you consume, even watching YouTube videos. I mean, in today's world, there's so much stuff out there that you can get it pretty much free at your fingertips, if not pretty much a low cost. I mean, you can subscribe to Audible for audiobooks for a low cost each month to consume it, if that's that's your method. If you go to the gym or are in a drive, in the car each day, listen to, part of audiobook each day. Things like that are just great to start sparking creative ideas and stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing,
And
isn't it, these days with the amount of information that's available? It's almost at a stage where there's so much there that it's hard to kind of stay focused. I've recently moved from Audible to Scribd. Scribd actually has a similar pricing per month, but it gives you unlimited um, books to read, both ebooks and then books to listen to. Audible book.
oh man, you just blew my mind. I'm gonna be looking at that when I get off here. And
Yeah, yeah. I'll
more
have a chat.
content to consume,
I'll have a
right?
chat to you about that because I've got a link where you can get 60 days free instead of their
Oh,
usual offer of 30. But the
great.
the challenge for me now is I've got so many. I keep seeing
Yeah.
a new one, so I bookmark it and add it to my list, and then I get
Yep.
overwhelmed when I think, okay, I've got time to listen to a book or listen to something. I thought, oh, which one?
Right. Exactly. Where do you find time
Yeah,
to
yeah.
consume it all? Yeah.
But yeah, it is a fabulous, it's fabulous that we've got access to all of that. And you mentioned YouTube. There's so much on YouTube that's really useful information if you dig into specific things or do specific searches. So, and then connecting the dots, right? Connecting the dots to something that might be on your mind, a problem that might be on your mind. That's where the innovation comes from.
Um,
All right. Now, what's the best thing you've done to develop new ideas?
oh man. Um, I think it's just like from the content that you consume, just making notes of it, in a way that you can organize it and in a way that you can, find those notes and stuff like that, and then take action on it. I'm a Ken who referred me to you.
Mm.
He always quotes what I say. It's progress, not perfection. And I think you can consume so much content, but at the same time, you can try to keep on consuming more content about topics that you might not be 100%, on top of, and you want to try to perfect that, right? So, like when I first got into business, that was a big thing. I kept on consuming and consuming and consuming, but I would never take action on it. So, over the time I perfected that, and now it's my biggest thing is like it's progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
You can always come back and perfect things later, but just documenting those ideas that you get from consuming that content, and then once you got something and you're ready to move forward with it, don't procrastinate. Just move on it. And if you're not getting traction, pivot and go to something else. That's the beauty of today's world. There's so many ways to get started and stuff, and it's easy to get started. It doesn't cost much money to do things now, in many different ways. Just give it a try and see if it
Mm.
works.
Yeah, and I love that you said, taking action and perfection, because that's one of the big risks of all that information that's available to us. And we try to learn, okay, I've learned something, but I need to dig more into this one because it's opened up a whole lot of questions. I mean, I find that all the time. The more I learn, the more I want to learn, and then the risk is that you don't actually translate anything into action. So that's really important.
Or you already forgot about what you learned before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Now, do you have a favorite resource you use most often?
Oh man, I don't know if I have one favorite or not. I think it just depends on like, you know, lately I've been at home much more. We got rid of our office when COVID hit, and I've been working at home a lot more. So before, I would you know, do a lot of audio books, a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. Now I'm doing a lot more video stuff because I just
Hmm.
wake up super early in the morning before the family gets up, and that's where I can, set my video or at my computer and consume video and
Hmm.
take notes on stuff and things like that. So, But, I just traveled to Pittsburgh, which is a 3-hour drive from us, like a couple of weeks ago. And on that drive, I consumed podcasts,
Yeah.
so just depends on I guess the time. I don't think I have a favorite.
All right, that's great. Yeah, so it really comes back to that, content that's valuable and learning from that. Now, what's the best way to keep a project on track? Project like, the
Oh
ones
man,
we've been talking about.
this is a big one for me. It's something I've struggled with for my whole, any business owner, I think, can relate to this. We have so many ideas that come into our heads, and it's like, okay, I'm going to jump over here, and do this. That was a great, this is a great new idea, but that's very counterproductive, right? If you're just
Mm.
jumping ship from one thing to another, you'll might be taking action on something, but if you don't finish that, then and you're always constantly starting new things, it's counterproductive. So one thing that I do is I block out my calendar for uh, certain times so to get stuff done. And there's only certain times that I have available for meetings. Now, I have a meeting tomorrow morning with a massive franchise system that can be potentially coming onto our software or wants to learn about it. And they wanted to meet. That was a time that was blocked out on my calendar. Those are times that I shift
If
my calendar, right?
you
But
yeah, have some flexibility with that, but yeah.
yeah, you have flexibility. But if it's somebody that wants to have coffee, I have open meeting slots, and then
Mm.
if there's no open meeting slots for the next 3 weeks, well, the next availability is 3 weeks out. That I have time to meet and have coffee. And then I have critical meeting blocks that I can have meetings, but those are with clients, or, key business, partnerships and stuff that, they would fall into, I could meet in those critical meeting blocks. Everything else is blocked out. My schedule does not move from that. And then that way, every 2 weeks, I kind of plan out my 2 weeks worth of work. And I think it's a really big thing to estimate how much time each task is going to take, and understanding that. So I don't know, however much time that you're going to work in those 2 weeks. For me, it's not a 40-hour week. I work way over 40 hours, but, just understanding how much time that you're going to put in, each week, and not book that time completely up, because you got to allot for that time that you got, open for meetings. So you can't have that booked out. And you also are going to have time available for other stuff that's just going to pop in there. You're going to always have client stuff that pops in, unrelated tasks that pop in through the week. So you're going to have padding for that stuff. So don't book your schedule too full, and understand, how much estimate those times for those tasks, and plan the next 2 weeks accordingly, and then evaluate those tasks to make sure they align with your monthly, 90-day, yearly goals, 5-year goals. And if they do, then they go into 2 weeks. And then once you schedule out those 2 weeks, Wes, it's like client related, nothing else goes in that 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many things just popped in my head today that all went to my backlog. So I don't want to forget about those, but no way they're going to ever go into my current 2 weeks of stuff that I'm working on. They just go into a backlog, and then the next 2 weeks, once I'm done with the work, then I evaluate, what should be going in to the next stuff. And that stuff, everything that popped in my head during those 2 weeks, it's there to review, and I'll find out what's priority and what's moved forward. But I think that's huge to me of getting stuff done. And once I shifted to that way of working, I get more done in those 2 weeks, and working less hours than I ever did before.
Yeah, yeah. That's there's so much to love about that, and basically, it's taking an approach to, you have this amount of time available to you that you're going to work. You sort of set that time, then you set rules around how you're going to spend that time, I guess the overarching philosophy being that, if it's not going to move the business forward towards your vision, short, medium, and long term, then it either gets parked to a bonus time, which probably never happens. and and
Right.
um,
Right.
and then I like the because I kind of do something similar, but I like the idea of there's a block of availability for meetings that, and there's client meetings and there's key contact meetings that are allowed in there, but the casual ones, they're not available for those ones. That's a separate entry. So I really like that. Mm.
Yeah. Wednesdays are kind of my days that I have a lot of meetings on. I don't know why I picked that day, just middle of the week, I guess. I usually use Fridays that are just completely blocked off. Like no critical meetings can even be focused that day because that's my focus day. And I try to catch up on anything that I didn't get completed throughout the week. And, if I got a lot of stuff done that week, sometimes I'll just knock off early Fridays, right? And,
Yeah.
and that's the
And,
joy
yeah,
of being a business owner. So.
reward yourself. Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's important too to also block
Mm,
out family time in there
mm,
too. Just time to spend with your family because as being busy,
mm.
I could work work all the time
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
if I didn't have that time on
It's
the calendar
yeah.
too. So.
It's a good discipline to have, to actually use your calendar there, as you say, to kind of switch off from work stuff and say, okay, it's time for me now, or it's time for the family now. And a lot of business owners unfortunately fall into this trap of, uh, we'll have family time when I get this thing up and running, or when I make this much money, or when we get to this point. And of course, that point sort of seems to
They're
never
always going to
happen.
be next, and it
Yeah, yeah.
keeps on inflating, right? So
Mm.
yeah, yeah. So
All right. Now, what's the number one thing anyone can do to differentiate themselves?
I think that comes just down to your industry. I mean, I'd say if you're starting a new business, then really think hard about what problems and stuff that you can solve before you come in. I mean, I think that's a big thing. Instead of just going in blindly into stuff,
Mm,
find out what's the unique pain points that aren't being solved in the industry. And then, I mean, that's where you can really be unique and come in and add a lot of value. If you're an existing business and you're already out there, I think you need to evaluate your competition and find out the gaps there, and
mm,
find out the gap analysis and where you can shine. And maybe, you aren't doing anything right now much differently. Find out the gaps there and maybe add some structure or different things into your business that can fill those gaps and really helps solve the pain points in whatever industry that you're in and that's your value prop. That's where you come in and be unique. So
mm. Yeah, I love it. And particularly if that is something that you're passionate about and you're really good at, then it's a brilliant match. You say, hey, there's a gap here, and I'm really good at that. I've done that for me. I've proven that I know how to do that. I love doing that. And then there you go. That's the differentiator.
yeah, I think you nailed it there. You have to have a passion about stuff. If you don't have the passion, you're not really going to have the drive to wake up every day.
Mm,
If your drive's just about money, then I don't know, you might have some success of getting it, but it's just not going to be in your heart. You know what I mean? When when you find something you're passionate about, you jump up out of bed. Most likely, you're probably not even setting your alarm
yeah.
in the morning. Like I woke up this morning at like 4:30 and just I tossed and turned already for an hour before. I thought it was like 6:30. I jumped out of bed. And I'm like, It's 4:30. Huh? Well, I'm up. I'm energized because I've been thinking the last hour in bed of all these things I want to get done, and I'm at it. But I don't know what book I read, but somebody said if you're setting your alarm every day, then you should reevaluate what you're doing, because most likely, and if you're setting your alarm and hitting snooze every day, most likely the reason you're hitting snooze is because you don't want to get up and get going. So reevaluate what you're doing. I love that, because I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like it's true to me. And I've always kind of liked that analogy.
All right. Well, thanks, Jason. This has been really great. Now, where can people find out more about you, find out more about the Pulse Spot, and maybe even get in touch and find out how to get a demo, or say thank you for what you've shared with us today?
Yeah, sure. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Also, you can visit our website at thepulsespot.com, and our marketing agency is pointspeakmarketing.com. So those are the two websites you can find us at.
All right. And we'll have a link in the show notes for both of those, or for all three of those, and people can click straight through.
Great. I appreciate it. It was nice talking to you today.
All right. Do you have any parting advice for our listener today?
Just go get it. I mean, if you're gonna, if you have, an idea in your head and you haven't got started in, like, maybe you're thinking about starting your own business and you haven't, made that leap yet, just take the leap. You can always go back and and do something different, if it wasn't the right fit for you. But, I guess this comes back to, just getting it done. Progress, not perfection, right? So, yeah.
Love it.
Just take action.
Yeah. Okay. Now, finally, who else should I get on the podcast, and why?
I would say I would recommend Steve Flaherty. He's a very innovative business owner. He's got some really, cool stuff going on. And he's involved in many different things. He teaches entrepreneurship at one of the local colleges here. He's got his own, startup that he has, and he's involved in many different businesses around here too. So I think he'd be a great person to have on.
All right. We'll get an introduction to Steve from you, and make contact and see if we can get him on the podcast and have a conversation with him as well.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks for your time.
Thanks so much for sharing your time and insights with us so generously today, Jason. I've really enjoyed this, learned a lot about your approach and how you got started with the Pulse. I'm really impressed with, starting up that pilot program, finding the need in your own business, but then, quickly pivoting that to fill the need that you had with, or that the customer had, that you identified, and getting that really up and running so quickly. So thanks again. All the best, and let's keep in touch.
Okay. Sounds good. Take care.
I hope you enjoyed that informative conversation with Jason and took something away from his episode. One of my key takeaways was the idea of solving unique problems, or problems in a unique way, in order to stand out. I'd love to know what you took away from Jason's episode. Do leave a comment below the blog post, which you can find at innovabiz.co/Jason Case. That is JASONCASE, all lowercase, all one word, innovabiz.co/Jason Case. You'll also find contact information there for getting in touch with Jason, as well as links to the Pulse, Spot and Points Peak marketing websites, to his social media pages, and the other resources we spoke about in our conversation today. Jason suggested that we have a conversation with Steve Flaherty of Necotech on a future InnovaBuzz podcast episode. So Steve, keep an eye on your inbox for an invitation from us to the InnovaBuzz podcast, courtesy of Jason Case. Tune in again to the next episodes of the InnovaBuzz podcast, where we've got yet more fantastic guests lined up, including author Ed Cressy and Maxwell Nee of High Performing Coach. Thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure you subscribe to the show to be reminded of new episodes. It's free to subscribe. Leave a review if you like. Even if you don't like me, I'm okay with that. I'm asking you to leave a review because it helps other people find this show. Go to InnovaBuzz.co to join our marketing transformation community and access a free gift my team and I made for you. It's the Marketing Master Mini Class. We want to give you everything you need to transform your marketing into a human-centered, relationship-focused growth engine. Until next time, I'm Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz. Remember, be awesome and keep innovating.